everyone, my name is Charles and I escaped North Korea twice, and today we're going to be ranking hardest parts about escaping North Korea. So it's from like S is the hardest and D is not that hardest. And here's the first one. Learning you can escape. So I think the hardest part about escaping North Korea is knowing that you can escape North Korea. Most people really don't know the option to escape North Korea. It's only the people who are living in the border town. And that's why so many people who escapes North Korea are from the border town, like Cheongjin, Haesan, Namyang, and all those parts. The only reason why I found out I could escape was because my father was Chinese, because I was living in deeper inside of North Korea. I was living in Sariwon. My dad was in North Korea for the first 5 years of my life, but he left me and my mother and he left to China and he didn't come back. My dad sent my half brother to bring me to China. If you were to ask people who escaped North Korea, how did you know that the world out there is better than North Korea? I am sure 99% of them will tell you that, oh, I've watched some sort of foreign media, right, in North Korea. That actually plays a critical role because that helps them to fantasize about the life outside of North Korea. It's extremely illegal to watch foreign medias that are not approved by North Korean regime. When I was in North Korea, the punishment of watching foreign media varies depending on who you watched with, right? So if you were to watch just with your family, then it could be 6 months of jail or 6 months of forced labor re-educational camp. But if you were to watch with multiple different people, then that would be 4 years of prison camp because you are influencing or brainwashing more people. Extreme case would be public execution for just watching South Korean dramas. But I personally never seen public execution because that person watched South Korean dramas. But it does happen. But now Kim Jong-un came up with new law that if you were to watch not just South Korean drama, but if you were to listen to South Korean music or South Korean radio, it is punishable by death. Not just you, but entire 3 generations of your family. So he's much more stricter than his father was, which is Kim Jong-il. I would rank that to S tier. It's because not a lot of people knows that they have the option to escape North Korea. If they did know, then there comes the second hardest part, reaching the border. Because in North Korea, there are no freedom of movement. There are checkpoints on all major roads, guards waiting for you with AK-47. And they ask you to present traveling documents. You have to go to a local government and ask them, hey, I am going to go to this town, and you have to give them the reason because my family is dying and I'll come back within certain days. You have to give them bribes too to make the process faster. That's just going from one town to another. But imagine going to the border town. That's even way stricter because you can escape. Because I didn't have traveling documents and tickets, I had to play hide and seek with police officers on the train, which was going to the border town. I would have to climb out of the bathroom window and basically hang on the side of the train, or sometimes hide on the roof of the train, or hide the hitch between the 2 cars. And if I were to get caught, I would have been sent to labor camp. If it was in America, it probably would have taken less than 12 hours to travel to where I was going. But because there are a lot of power outages, I was hiding from the guards 2 days on a train. So it traveled during the day, it traveled during the night, it would travel for maybe an hour, and it would stop for multiple hours, and it would just go really, really slow. So I would rank that A tier. No, I would actually rank that to S tier because it's even harder than learning escaping North Korea because how strict North Korean regime is with people traveling. I would actually personally move down to finding out how you can escape or knowing you can escape North Korea to A tier. For me personally, it wasn't so hard for me to leave my family behind because I really didn't have immediate family, right? But I know for a fact, for a lot of different defectors, leaving their family behind is a big factor, and that's why they don't want to escape, or even some people when they come to South Korea, they even want to go back to North Korea because of the family that they have left behind. And also discourages them from sharing their stories or even speaking against the regime. Because the family that are left behind will be persecuted by the North Korean regime. So I'm going to be putting this on the B tier because I personally don't have immediate family that I left behind. Swimming the river. I would say this was easy. all I had to do, like both times, get in the cold water for 5 minutes, you know, and voila, I was in the other side of the border. The swim actually wasn't like that long. It was probably less than 5 minutes. I picked the part where, you know, it was relatively narrower. The worst thing was that the current was really, really fast, and I basically couldn't swim. I had to like literally walk. If I were to lift my like feet off of the ground, then I would just have been just swept away. I'm going to put this on a D tier. Next up on the list, not alerting the guards. It seems so easy, but also at the same time, it was really hard because while the guard is watching, you can walk into the river and do your daily chores, right? It was not too bad, I would say, because, you know, all I had to do was, you know, carry a bucket. I walked down the river. I pretended that I was trying to get the water. And then when the guard wasn't looking, I just ditched the bucket. And then I hid under the tall grass for many hours. I could not move a muscle because if I do, then the grass would move, you know, and that means like the guards would check it out, you know. So it was not as hard as any other parts of escaping North Korea. So I would probably put this on the C tier. All right, not getting shot. I would say I heard, probably in Thailand, from different North Korean defectors that North Korean soldiers could not shoot the person while they're in the river because like the river is in neither of the country, therefore it's an international border and they can't shoot. As well as they cannot shoot you when they're in China because if you would miss that person and then the bullet lands in China, that's like a war. I'm not really sure how accurate that was. When I was escaping for the second time, in the river, I slipped on a rock and I let out a gas. And then the guard found me and he said that he was gonna shoot me if I didn't turn back. He was like, "야, 개새끼야, 안 들어와. 안 들어오면 쏜다." When people think about North Korea, they usually think of nuclear warheads, authoritarianism, and a heartless dictator. I'm making content because I want everybody to think of North Korean people. They are ordinary people who don't know how much better life could be. If you want to help me be a voice for voiceless North Koreans, I would love for you to support me on Patreon, where you can get early access to full-length videos, all sorts of fun pictures, outtakes, and other exclusive videos. Thank you, and I hope to see you there. And he said that he was gonna shoot me if I didn't turn back. He was like, "야, 개새끼야, 안 들어와. 안 들어오면 쏜다." But you know, at that point, like I knew I was dead either way. You know, either I would obey and return to the shore only to be shipped off to the labor camp, you know, and basically starve to death, or you shoot me here, right, and I die. Or, you know, if I stop, I would drown, you know, so like, either way, I'm gonna die. So I just waited ahead. I will put this at B tier because I've personally never heard about somebody getting shot at while escaping through the Yalu River. But there was one guy who escaped North Korea and he got shot like 6 times, right? His friends shot him and he almost lost his life. But he was escaping through the DMZ, not through the Yalu River. Surviving the walk. I walked 3 days without a proper meal, you know, without, you know, sleeping that well. And during the 3-day walk, right, I was hungry, I was dehydrated, I was exhausted, you know, and my shoe fell apart and my feet got blisters, you know, and it popped because walking so much and, you know, it started bleeding. So, you know, and I could not walk anymore. And eventually, you know, I collapsed. I literally started praying and to God, if you're up there and if you're real, please don't let me die like this. And please don't let me die like this. Like, I would literally do anything. If you were to save me here, like, I would do anything. Like, I would do anything. But just please don't let me die like this. You know, and I collapsed. And I cried, you know, all those regrets of escaping North Korea. Like, after walking the 3 days, like, realizing that I'm gonna die, it's like, if I was in North Korea, right? If I was still in North Korea, and if I was still in the coal mine, I would have food in my stomach, roof over my head. I would not at least die like this, right? And thinking about, like, why me? You know, like, why do I have to suffer this kind of fate? You know, like, like middle of nowhere, just about to die. You know, like I scream and nobody can hear me. You know, it was very frustrating and very sad. But you know, after praying, you know, to God that don't let me die like this, a Chinese guy miraculously, right, shows up. And he gives me water, he gives me mantou, it's like a Chinese bread, and asks me like with the Chinese like 你从哪里来 means like where are you from? And I told him like 我是北韩人，我来北韩 and 我看我爸爸 means like, you know, I'm looking for, like literally 我看 means like I'm looking, right? And I'm looking for my dad. And I mean, he can clearly tell that I was from North Korea, right? A kid without, you know, shoes that literally fell apart, and you know, clothing that's like what the heck is he wearing, right? And I'm small, I'm skinny. No kid in China looked like that. So he eventually picked me up. He brought me to his house and he gave me medication for my feet. He gave me food. He let me sleep at his house, right? And the next morning, he connected me to a South Korean missionary. And that person eventually helped me to get to my dad's house. But that is not in a story for all the other North Korean defectors. Like some of them, that's the most critical part, right? Because now you've betrayed your country, literally. You've escaped North Korea, but now, like, what are you gonna do, right? Do you know somebody? No, you don't. If you don't, you're gonna get captured and you're gonna be sent back and you're gonna go to prison. That's more harder than escape itself, right? Because that's when people give up. They don't know where to go. They're in a country where they don't speak the same language. So I would rank this at an S tier. The next part is going to be avoiding Chinese police. It's not too bad. You know, all you have to do is lay low. You know, you only go out in the super early in the morning or super late at night. So when I escaped North Korea for the first time, I am really excited. You know, my dad is Chinese, it's gonna be okay, you know, and I would just go out all the time. I would go everywhere, you know, and I'll be going to like PC방, you know, the internet cafe. I would go to arcade rooms, you know, I would explore. You know, I'm not afraid. You know, even the police finds me, I don't care. My dad is Chinese, but I got captured and I was sent back to North Korea, right? And I've been to North Korean defectors detention center. The second time coming to China, I was terrified of the Chinese police, right? Because if I get captured and sent back to North Korea, this is it for me. But yeah, avoiding Chinese police, it's relatively easy. You just have to lay low. Don't dig through the trash. I met this guy in a detention center because he got captured while digging through trash in China. It's like, Chinese people saw that as like, oh, that's a North Korean. They called the police, right? North Korean people dig through the trash, right? But not Chinese people. Like nobody in China does that. But North Korean people do because they're starving, they're hungry, right? And when they come to China, it's like, oh my gosh, it's everything. Like they would find like good food in trash can. Avoiding Chinese police, like I will probably put it in a C tier because yeah, it's relatively easy. It's just don't go out, you know, that often and don't do anything will draw attention to you. Learning new language. As you may see this video, like I speak English somewhat fluently, right? And I've only been here for like 13 years now. And some people actually spend their rest of their life, you know, trying to learn a new language, but they really can't. I guess I'm talented in language-wise. Like and also I try hard. But even North Korean people, when they come to South Korea, they have hard time learning South Korean language. There's different dialects, you know, different tones. North Korea kept this like the traditional Korean words. I struggled, you know, coming to America for the first like maybe 3 to 5 years because I couldn't speak any English, right? But after that, it was a smooth sailing for me personally. I was fascinated by all of this kind of like TVs, like so many channels, right, I can watch. And I saw Family Guy, you know, and I tell people that I learned English through watching Family Guy because I really did, you know, like it's like kids friendly, you know, because it's a cartoon. But as I was watching it, like I realized like, oh yeah, it's really dark humor, you know. It's not kids show, you know. I'm going to rank this at a C tier. All right, adjusting to the new world. Imagine getting into time machine and fast forwarding like 50 years into the future. That's how it feels for me to come to America, where I couldn't tell the difference between a computer and a TV. Yes, it was tough, but I did it with excitement, right? Because like everything is new, it's so fun. I enjoyed it, I enjoy the challenge. That's not the case for every other North Korean defectors, right? And especially the older generations. There is a lot of different factors that goes into it, like homesick, right? They left the family behind, like I really miss them, I wanna go back. And second is like learning new culture. I've known, decent number of friends who unfortunately taking their own lives, and even some people want to go back to North Korea because of how hard it is to actually adjust to the new world. Imagine you got into a time machine and fast forward it like 50 years into the future, right? What type of job would you do? You probably wouldn't know how that world worked. You wouldn't know the laws. You might not know how to pay your taxes. It will be really difficult to adjust. Even though personally, I did not have that much of a struggle adjusting to the new world, I know there are a lot of people and a lot of different North Korean defectors who struggles with this. So I'm going to put this on A tier. People don't believe you. So, I have a funny story about this. So I was 18 when I started high school, right? In America, people did know that I was from North Korea because my social worker have told the school principals, my teachers and a couple of people, and the word got around, and people usually asked me, like, are you a spy from North Korea? Because I don't know, that was like the general like norms of like, oh, do you know Kung Fu? Do you know Kung Fu? Do you know karate? But nowadays, like that I speak English really well, and now that I, try to raise awareness of what's happening in North Korea, like I post my video on TikTok and, all of the social media platforms, like people don't believe me that I'm from North Korea. People don't believe that I'm from North Korea. They assume that I was born and raised in America. People assume that I got paid by CIA to do propaganda. Like the last thing on your mind while you're escaping North Korea is to actually think about, oh, how am I going to prove to people that I'm actually from North Korea? You don't really think about what proof to bring, right, when your life is on the line. And the Chinese aren't waiting on the border to actually give you some sort of proof that, oh yeah, you are from North Korea. They would rather capture you and send you back to North Korea, right? So I would probably put this on C tier. And now I'm gonna see if I can change anything here. Learning new language. I'm gonna actually move that up to B tier. A lot of people do struggle like learning new language. Even learning Korean for them, like South Korean, is a challenge, right? So I'm gonna put this one on a B tier. And actually, I'm going to bring down people don't believe you to D tier because again, like that's out of your control. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Please let me know how you would rate escaping North Korea. Like what do you think is the hardest part? If you don't agree with me, please let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.